Oh, I'm back again with another live episode. Just under the wire for another episode of Martial Arts Movie Mondays. Here locally, it's like 5 minutes till midnight, something like that. So I made it still Monday. It's not quite Tuesday yet. So I had to rush. So I'm still trying to get it all set up. Um, but if you've never seen this show before, first of all, shame on you. Or deep fight, if you will, into one of my movies back here, my collection. My camera's slightly off, so you're seeing more empty wall than you normally see. But it's because I rushed and I bumped some stuff. But it's too late now, as we're already going, and I really need to fix that. His head is still missing. It's actually laying right there. You can see it right there, right there. Anyway, but I dive into one of my random martial arts movies in my collection, which I have a plethora of, and we try to talk about not only the movie itself and what I like and dislike, and if it's good or it's bad, who's in it, history, that kind of stuff, but also how it might have impacted my own personal martial arts journey. I'm a martial arts instructor myself with over 30 plus years of experience and different styles, and I teach for a living. So just fun way of getting in there and really giving me a chance to just watch more martial arts movies. So today, I talked about on our show yesterday, our Hollywood Matrimony live show, that I was going to do a double feature today, and I guess you consider it a franchise. It's two films, but in a series. One of my all-time favorite martial arts subgenres, if you will, growing up, was the ninja. I loved all things ninjas, especially Sho Kosugi in the 80s. He was the end all be all of all Hollywood ninjas. Um, I loved all the movies. I did an episode about the Canon Ninja trilogy, which is Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, and Ninja 3 The Domination, that all have nothing to do with each other than the fact that Sho Kosugi is in it. So this one is a little more modern ninja storyline. We don't get as many ninja movies, mainstream or good ones for that matter. So anytime a ninja pops up, my heart beats fast. I get so excited. And in this case, when these came out, it was even better because it not only was a ninja story, it starred one of my favorite martial arts actors presently. And I say presently because he's more of a new school guy. He's been around for years at this point, but you have your Bruce Lees and your Chuck Norrises and your Sho Kosugis and Van Dams and Steven Skulls, but he's more of a modern guy. And if you don't know who I'm talking about by now, then you've never watched one of our shows. It's none other than Scott Adkins himself. He stars. He got probably his his probably biggest claim to fame initially was as Boyka from the Undisputed franchise, which we'll talk about, do a whole chapter on that or episode on that one day. But he's since gone on and done a whole ton of different Accident Man, Savage Dog, more recently. He's in Doctor Strange. He's one of the evil henchmen. He's the one that fights Doctor Strange in the oh crap, now I forgot what they call it when they're the little, it's not the spiritual realm, but anyway, he's the one. He's in the movie. He was the stunt double character version of Weapon Zero and X-Men Origins Wolverine. I mean, he's done so much stuff, and he's done stuff that's not just action. He's done straight up acting stuff too. But he's really come into his own. But for today, we're going to talk about his two movies, aptly titled Ninja and Ninja 2: Shadow of the Tear. So let's dive into the first one first. So these have been out for quite a while. So if you haven't heard of them, they're not super old movies, but they're not new movies either. The original Ninja came out in 2009. They both with Isaac, yeah. It came out in 2009, and because they worked a lot on the Undisputed films as well with his director Isaac Florentine, I believe he's a martial arts artist himself, but he does a lot of action movies. But he did Close Range with Scott Adkins, which is another good one. He did some of the Undisputed films. Let me see what else we got. Anything else you might have heard of? Well, he directed a lot of the old WMAC Masters from back in the mid 90s, which was a great martial arts show if you never show, as well as some Power Ranger episodes. So he's done a lot of different stuff. But they teamed up for this first ninja movie. And there's one guy. Hold on, I gotta find him real fast before I lose him. Oh no, I think I already let him. Oh, there he is. Anyway, so basically the premise is it's an American guy who, for whatever reason, and if you want to know, you got to watch the movie. But for whatever reason, he ends up being, um, yeah, he ends up living at this Japanese dojo, and it's kind of an old school classic story. It's very 80s, 90s style action, where it's the American fish out of water, but he's now been taken in by the master, and he's becoming one of the top students. And of course, the actual top student, who is Japanese, has an issue with him. They have conflict, and then it jumps ahead to where they have to face off eventually, whatever. So all you need to know is this is a very modern ninja movie, but it is full on ninja. You get the full suit, the mask, all the weapons, and I think that's one of the things I've always loved about ninja movies is it's not just taekwondo or karate or this. Is they use the ninjutsu, which is a system I'm aware, but it was always one that seemed more interesting because they did everything. Like you watch a Steven Seagal movie, it's 90% throws, right? Because he's doing Aikido. You watch a Taekwondo guy, there's straight up kicks 90% of the time. That's what I do. Muay Thai, it's elbows. So you can focus in on each kind of art while still doing other stuff. When you put the ninja mix in there, they use every weapon, they do every technique. It's like MMA before MMA was there, right? When you watch Sho Kosugi doing stuff, you do arm locks and throws and weapons and this and that. That's what always made ninjas kind of cool, and the fact that they're these silent assassin, blending with the darkness and using the elements. One of my favorite ninja movies of all time is Five Element Ninjas, aka Chinese Super Ninjas, which hopefully we'll talk about on the show at one point as well. But anyway, let's get back to this. 2009, they teamed up, brought in Scott Adkins. When I saw this, I was a fan, but I was kind of a newer fan when I saw him in this movie. I had seen him in something else, but I was just starting to discover him. This movie sealed the deal. This made him. The fights are all badass. The story works. I mean, it's just very typical 90s style martial arts action. So they find reasons to fight, and you've got weird cults and all kinds of stuff. Doesn't matter. The ninjas. Ninja is where it's at, right? And what I never noticed before on the cover, on my brain, for whatever reason, I always assumed the ninja on the cover was Scott Adkins. And if you look at it after seeing the movie, it is not. It's the villain ninja, because he has this things on the side of his head that pummels with like night vision and all kinds of stuff. And Scott Adkins has a more traditional style ninja uniform, but it's still got a modern twist to it. So the ninjas in here are not like the ninjas you would see with Sho Kosugi back in the day. They're a little more modernized, but still have the same vibe. And the fight's badass. This isn't a series that really influenced me so much in my martial arts training now. And outside of when I watch Scott Adkins in action, it makes me discover new types of kicks and things like this that sometimes I haven't thought of, or realize I haven't done enough of, or need to practice more of. And so I get back out there immediately and I start jumping and spinning and twisting again and doing all the different stuff. So it's more of an inspirational thing than it is a journey about my past. It's more about my present and where I'm going. And as I'm kind of getting back to, get over an injury, and I'm getting back into my fitness, I'm getting back into training for myself and not just teaching. It's movies like these that inspire me to say, okay, I got to spend some time with that jumping, spinning hook kick and those windmills and, those kind of things. So 2009 Ninja, great action martial arts. You get all the ninja aspects. You get the badass fighting, the signature techniques of Scott Adkins. Anything you ever want from a Scott Adkins movie is right here, or so you would think. This movie is badass. I love this movie. Rarely does a sequel come along that surpasses the original, but in the Ninja series, in this case, Ninja 2 Shadow of a Tear jumps way past the first one, and I'll explain to you why. It was 2013 when this one finally made it. This one has more of a play outside of the movie itself being badass, the fighting being better. And the fighting in the first was amazing. Don't get me wrong. I just love the fights in this movie so much better. But and this time we get Scott Adkins on the cover. But Ninja Shadow of a Tear also there's a whole lot of other stories that came out of this movie, and let's talk about the movie itself, and then we'll get into those stories. The second movie, unlike the canon Ninja trilogy, where they have nothing in common except for Sho Kosugi appearing, these two movies are an ongoing story. So where this one ends, it picks up with Scott Adkins and his lovely lady, and they're now running the school that they first introduced us to in the first movie. And of course, one thing led to another leads to another, sends him on this quest for revenge, and he's got to deal with some other new nonsense and stuff. And you expect it, right? But this time it takes him to Thailand. This one took him, I believe, into the U.S. Remember, do you have to go to the U.S. or is he in London? No, he was in. Yeah, he went to New York. Okay, I always forget because they like that. These martial arts movies like to go into like Budapest and London and all these different foreign countries. Anyway, but in this one he goes to Thailand and he meets up with an old friend. The old friend is played by none other than Kane Kosugi, son of Sho Kosugi, who, when I was a kid growing up, not only was I obsessed with those ninja movies, and I still love them to this day, but I was obsessed with Kane himself because I related to him as a child. He was a child and he was in the movies and he was doing karate and he was kicking people and he was doing stuff. And I saw him. I'm like, I can do that. And I actually learned a lot of techniques from him, or the way I move from his movies back then. I studied them. I watched them. I became obsessed with them. They even put out a video that I had on VHS that I've still have the VHS, but transferred it to DVD. I believe it was called Masterclass, and it was like a training video with Sho Kosugi and Kane Kosugi. And excuse me, sorry, it's late. The one steps and things that they do in that video, I've done them in class, and I've used them, and I learned from them, and I still watch it from time to time. I love the video. Kane Kosugi shows up, I'm all in, sister. It was done. I was like, this is it. I'm great. I got Scott Adkins. I got Coach Kane Kosugi. I'm in. And the story, though, because it's more about revenge, they deal with a lot of your honor and taking away, because because when you got you lose your path for whatever reason, and so he's got to find his path again, and disrespect for stuff, losing control in the dojo, and different things that happen. He becomes more of an assassin this time around. The first movie, he's on the run with his lady. They're trying to survive. Somebody trying to kill them and deal with stuff. In this one, he becomes more of an assassin. Surprisingly, we don't get a lot of him full-on ninja uniform in either movie. It's both of them are closer to the end. So like in the first one, he gets his ninja uniform closer to the end of the movie. The second one is very similar, but it's a different uniform this time. So if you look at it, it's got a little more of a classic vibe to it, but still with a modern twist. So it's old school, which I love way more. I love the look of his first one, but I love the old school classics. In this case, you got a little more of the classic, but you had the gauntlets and things. So instead of just being the straight uniform with just the material, he's got some different features that kind of make it step up to make it more battle ready, and more feudal Japan style, where back in the day it was just the wardrobe somehow fit all the weapons in there, which we know they wouldn't even be able to run with half that stuff on them. Where the first one, it had a way more stylized thing. But what's really cool about this is not only is there a bunch of great fights. If you don't know who Tim Mann is this badass martial arts stuntman. His kicking ability is off the charts. And Scott Adkins is too. And these two guys fight each other in this movie. It is the badass fight. They go back and forth. And what I love is Scott Adkins' character doesn't just beat up everybody. He does most of the time. He's the hero. But when he takes on the villains, there's a fights back and forth. And one of the biggest problems with martial arts movies or action movies in general is having a good villain that you believe could take out your hero, even though you know darn well the hero's going to win. That's what we're watching, right? I'm not watching this movie and hoping Scott Adkins dies. No, I want him to live so that we can have a third one, which we haven't gotten. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, he's phenomenal. So anybody you're going to put against him has to be phenomenal, right? The guy in the first movie, which I don't remember his name, I apologize. He was good. He did fine. It was a good fight. You put Tim Mann against him, it is a badass fight. That was enough stress and intensity and excitement. They could have ended the movie on that. And Tim Mann's not even the main boss. He's like the boss's right-hand man, and then he fights the main boss guy. And that guy was fine, but it was a sad fight in comparison to what happened with this Tim Mann, right? Had he not fought Tim Mann, that would have been a great fight. But it's a downgrade. And I realized when I first watched it, I was like, why are you doing this to me? How do you blow the whole thing with Tim Mann and give me this epic fight and then make me downgrade to this other one? Well, I realized because then he was going to have to fight Kane Kosugi too, which was another epic badass fight. So as soon as I realized I was going to get to see these two guys fight as well, I was done. I was like, oh my God. This was almost when in Expendables 2, I believe it was, when Scott Adkins was taking on happened. Scott Adkins is kicking ass with everyone. And these two movies are right up there with all of them. The other cool thing about the original one is the appearance of, make sure I say his name right, Fumio Demura. And if you don't know who that is, there's a great documentary called The Real Miyagi. And it's about Fumio Demura's history, who was a martial artist. I couldn't tell you the entire details of his life, but he's basically who Mr. Miyagi is based off of. He founded some of the Japanese karate federations, I believe. He's taught different famous people, like Steven Seagal, not but in karate. Reminding, if I remember right, he was basically, I believe, the stunt double and or the choreographer for the Karate Kid, which is why they call him the Real Miyagi. He was the one that basically did Miyagi's fights, I believe. He's the one that, when you see Miyagi fighting and it's something aggressive, it was probably him. But he has a cool little small sequence. You have to look for him. You gotta see what he looks like first. He has a little sequence in there of doing some forms. I think he was known more for the sai as weapons than most others. I may be wrong on that. It's been a long time since I watched Real Miyagi, but I have this cool, I wish I'd thought about it. I would have grabbed it. I have a little Real Miyagi poster, a mini poster that's autographed by him. It's cool to see people like that show up, because that just tells you that whether it was Scott Adkins, I'm assuming it's probably Isaac Florentine, but when they're putting talent together for these movies, and you throw somebody like that who's not only big for stunts and whatnot like that, but just martial arts in general. That's somebody who has love for the martial arts, and you throw him in there. He's got a small part, like he's in the background with the school working out. Then he gets to fight. Gets one little fight scene, not as epic as I wanted it to be, but it was still great to see him there. He's also an older man now. He was an older man in this, so I don't even know how old he is now. But again, Ninja 2, Shadow of a Tear, you get to see Tim Mann front and center. You got Kane Kosugi showing up. You got Scott Adkins fighting them all. There's just so many badass fights in both of these movies that if you're looking for your first Scott Adkins experience, there's two choices. These two, Ninja Shadow of a Tear, or Undisputed. That's it. The rest of his movies are awesome. I love his movies, so don't let me get that. But you need to experience him first in one of his main characters. And I use Ninja as some of his main characters because we've got two of them. I've been begging, and hoping that we get a third one. I don't know if it's going to ever happen at this point. It's been a while, obviously, but it was also a while since the last one. I know one of the things that, and I've interviewed Mr. Atkins a couple of times. Super nice guy. He's really a great guy, and one of his big things that he fights for is the against piracy. So movies like this to get made, you have to buy them. If you're downloading them illegally or you're bootlegging them, or if I took this and made copies and gave it to all my friends, that means this movies aren't making money. If they're not making money, nobody finances them, and then we don't get them. So people don't think about that when they're running servers or whatever else, and they're like, well, somebody else downloaded it. I'm not doing anything wrong. You are, because every time somebody sees it and they didn't plunk down their chunk of cash to buy them, that means the studio ain't making money. When the studio ain't making money, they ain't being made. So right now, we ain't getting another Ninja movie unless you people are back there supporting him. And I know every interview I've ever done with Scott Adkins, he was very adamant about support the movies, pay for the movies, tell what you think of it, get there, let the studios know. And he keeps churning them out. He keeps putting out movie after movie, and they're better and better all the time. But they're not this, and I want this because I love ninjas and I love Scott Adkins. And there's so many other people that need to be showing up in this series. Also, I went blank. Oh, well, I was going to tell you what's funny is this is when these are on my shelf, they go over here, so they're kind of off to the side over here somewhere. So I have my other Ninja movies in the set, right? So I have Enter the Ninja and Revenge of the Ninja on DVD, so they're up top, up there. Don't get me started on my setup. If you ever watched our live show with Hollywood Matchmaker Live, you know the missus gets irritated by my setup. Anyway, in the Blu-ray section with the Ninja movies, it says Ninja, Ninja 2, Ninja 3, and Ninja Assassin. So most people that don't know, they're like, oh, there's 3 Ninja movies. It's like, no, one of them is Ninja 3, The Domination. So it has to sit as my Ninja 3 until I get another Ninja 3 to take its place. So for that purpose alone, Scott Adkins, Isaac Florentine, you got to get together. We need Ninja 3. Come on. Make it happen. The fans want it, whether you think they do or not. I'm telling you, they will eat it alive, and these movies rule. All right. That'll be it for today. I could talk all day about my love for ninjas and Scott Adkins and Isaac Florentine and all the movies they work on, but that's all the time we got today. We're going to move on with our lives. We're already on Tuesday now. So now it's not only Martial Art Movie Mondays. Now we're into, it's now Tuesday, and it doesn't rhyme with anything. And then TV Tuesdays, which me and the missus will be doing tomorrow, later in the afternoon, because I have some appointments and stuff in the morning after I teach class. Then we'll be back here for another episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live on Sunday. We're talking about whatever movies we watch this week. And please don't forget, go to our website at hollywoodmatrimony.com. We have news, reviews, giveaways, contests, all kinds of stuff on there. Head over to our Twitter at HollywoodMatter, MATR, and our Instagram at HollywoodMatrimony, as well as our Facebook page under Hollywood Matrimony. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button right here below on our YouTube channel. The more subscribers we get, the more hits to our website we get, the more fun and adventure stuff we have for you with prizes and gifts and things like this that we'd love to give back. We don't make money on this site. We do it for sheer fun of love for movies and love to talk to you fellows and just get my pretty face out there. All right? So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you get a chance, hit the subscribe button on the little orb if it shows up, and check out whatever trailer pops up. And until next time, as I always tell you, make sure you be nice to each other. Keep your hands up. I appreciate you watching. Peace out.